Is loneliness a central part of being a digital nomad? In this video, I'm going to talk about why that might be true, and at least why digital nomads are prone to loneliness and a lack of social connection. Hey guys, it's Erik from Rising Nomad, and today I'm in Belgrade, Serbia, and I'm leaving today to go back to Thailand. So I've been here for a month, since the start of August, and yeah, it's basically time to go back to the island, Copenhagen, where I feel I have the best chance of building the kind of scene of people that I want to be surrounded by to not feel lonely. Now let's go into how this comes about. I am from Canada. I lived here in Serbia for many years, and it was super fulfilling, and it made me a lot less lonely the first time I moved here. But over time I started to look at what the other options were, and I found that I really wanted to be in Asia. And so in terms of options, it just comes back to the fact that people with more options are less happy. So if I had no choice but to live in Canada where I grew up, I'd probably make myself happy with that, make myself, somehow come to terms with that. But once I learned that there was this lovely southeastern European place called Serbia where I could come and live, it was basically hard to live in Canada anymore. And so I'm moving on to the next thing, which I've been shifting into for the last 2 years, which is Copenhagen, Thailand. So I'm super excited about going back to the island, and that's where I'm at today. Flying this afternoon. It's about 8 in the morning right now. So a nice morning walk. So yeah, most people in the world are still living their location-bound lifestyles. They're still living, in most cases, in the place that they were born. And basically, what's wrong with that? Nothing. But we've chosen something else as digital nomads. So what's wrong with that? We're going to see what's wrong with that lifestyle of being a digital nomad as life goes on, as this movement becomes bigger and bigger. But one thing that you constantly are reminded of when you're traveling the world is the lack of connection that you have. And it's like the lack of connection basically, it comes down to a few things. You're leaving your life that you sort of had at home, where you had strong connections, people you could be interdependent with, and you're going on the road and you're having to make new connections constantly. So, when I came here to Belgrade, Serbia, it was a lot easier to connect because I was at a place in my life in my 20s where it was just non-stop social, meet a bunch of people. The culture was so fresh for me. Everything in the world was so fresh. And what changed? Did Serbia change? Yes, it did. Did I change? Yes, I did. Did I get tired of, just being a traveler and meeting other traveler, or being a foreigner here in Serbia and meeting Serbian people, the same old stories, all that sort of stuff? Sure I did. Did society here go in a direction that means that people are more concerned with work and money and stuff like that? I think it did. But I still host on couch surfing when I'm here. I'm still living the same way. I still have lots of Serbian friends who I meet with and all that sort of stuff. But it kind of the stories start to sound the same the more you stay in a place, and you think about the options that you have to go to different parts of the world and meet different people, and you end up romanticizing as a digital nomad the life you could encounter, the life that you could have if you just flew to a different part of the world. So it's that next thing syndrome that I've talked about before on this channel. Always never living in the moment because you're always thinking about that plane that you're getting on. In my case today. So there's a quest for meaning in connections, and this is something that you really have to work hard as a digital nomad, because the stories of the people start to sound the same. The people that you meet in hostels and expat meetups and the types of conversations that you have with those people, it starts to sound the same, and it starts to be the same, and it starts to be repetitive, and you just are always putting this, I'm this person from here, I do this sort of projection of yourself up in these meetups, and it's harder to meet a deeper level unless you go like deeper into topics. And for example, when I talk to other entrepreneurs, it's like really easy to connect on a deep level because we have similar challenges, we have similar visions, similar ways that we've disconnected from normal people and the way that they live their normal lives, working a job and stuff, because we have to be the architect of businesses that actually provide value to the world and have serviceability in life itself. So if I meet other entrepreneurs, you can go deep pretty fast. But what you don't have in this lifestyle is the traditional sort of like people you went to high school with, this historical community of the elders and people who are younger than you, of the community, the people that that you see every day. And a lot of us set up bases because we're looking for something like that, but we end up in places with our bases where we're not a part of the culture. So we're in a community of foreigners and expats, which is okay. I love it. But you'll never have that deep feeling of growing up in a place and hanging out with the people that you went to high school for. You'll have different feelings, but they won't be that familiar. Those people won't be that much like family because it's all makeshift. And you have like the historical archetype of the traveler, like the nomad or traveling merchant or explorer who travel around the world. But I feel like we digital nomads these days don't really fit in that archetype because possibly there's so many of us. You go to these digital nomad hotspots, businesses have popped up who fill themselves every morning giving avocado toast to digital nomads and stuff like that. Foreigners are not as special as they once were in this age of being a digital nomad being possible, right? So it's like you miss this feeling that I had when I first came to Serbia in a lot of places that we tend to go. When I first came to Serbia in 2006, it was so exotic to be a foreigner. You're talking about a country that was, 6 or 7 years away from bombings, political upheaval, and still had this reputation as a war-damaged part of Europe. And I was, the backpacker who came in there and explored and found people who were so eager to get to meet me, so starved of influence of the outside world, connection with the outside world. And so it was a lot easier. And I think this is what the travelers originally had in most parts of history, going along the Silk Road or something like that. Just like being a traveler was always something exotic, and there was lots of local people and a local culture that you could plug into, and people really going out of their way to show hospitality and want to show you the best of their culture. And I still think it's a lot like that, but in this age of, like, in some places it's a lot like that. In some places the hospitality is still alive, and Serbia is definitely one of them. It's super welcoming and has that Balkan, Middle Eastern hospitality famously. And it's but we're not exotic anymore. And so a lot of the time we end up with other digital nomads, socializing with them. And we're like a global culture of people who are living this global lifestyle, comparing notes about different stuff. We accept people from different cultures and stuff like that. So it is very diverse in the group of digital nomads, people from different cultures. But what they're united by is this, I guess we could call it remote working ideal, and the idea that life is better if you explore different cultures. And in a lot of ways, it is better if you explore different cultures. But in encountering loneliness and lack of connection, it's probably worse. Because everyone has the same problem of these transient relationships. So the community is kind of characterized by people having transient relationships, fast friendships, basically connecting with one another on not that deep a level, and not really having time to open up and trust people in a deep and emotional, intimate way, but getting used to putting those parts of yourself forward in a sort of projection, as I said, and then, basically never seeing the person again in a lot of cases, because everyone's always leaving. So everyone's always leaving. It's hard to set down roots in a community that defines itself in being rootless, being ungrounded, and being able to, on a whim, get up and travel to another place and, not have to set down roots there, because your livelihood is based on the internet. Now, I really like keeping in touch online through specifically Facebook. Is a platform where you add people and then they stick around for years on your Facebook feed, and you see maybe like at some point in the future they're in a place that you want to go, and they're actually in a place that you are, and you meet somebody who you haven't seen in 4 years in another place, and you manage to find a new connection with them and catching up, and compare notes of where you've been in the world, how your life has changed, how things have progressed. Yeah, there's screaming children and dogs around here. I'm walking in the other direction now because it's pretty distracting. Yeah, so meeting up with people, keeping in touch on Facebook and stuff like that, and meeting up with people who are in the same place as you is a super powerful tool, and I really love doing that. And I really love when you have a friend that you meet through couch surfing or expat meetups or YouTube or whatever it is. When you have a friend and then you realize I've been with this person in 4 different countries. I've actually kept this friendship and connection open, and we met in these different places, experiences the different stuff. That's where it starts to feel meaningful. So this is why I feel like where this movement is going is more like that, more having your tribe that you meet up in different places, and more having your connections that stay strong and reoccur different places around the world. So yeah, what keeps me sane is knowing that I will meet up with people I know in different places when I'm traveling. But also the online sort of social aspect. Now, I'm sure a lot of us are really sick of Zoom calls. I kind of am. But it's still a very powerful way to keep in touch with people and share moments of laughing about life, and kind of, I connect with people who I work together with on a weekly basis for our company meetings, and I ensure that I made a culture where we get to talk casually. It's not an official sort of thing. We get the official business done, but we want to share our lifestyle with each other, where we're at as traveling digital nomads, because that's what my company is basically based on, remote working in general, let's say. And everybody has to share what's going on in their life and where they are and what it's like there and how they feel and all that sort of stuff. So then when we meet up in person, it's even better, and there's a great connection there. What else keeps me sane as a digital nomad is having a routine that involves exercise, and also the social connection of, we have these yoga classes that I've been doing for 3.5 years now with Georgina, Rising Nomad yoga classes that also includes some people from my company as well. And it's a great way to, through exercise, something that's really healthy, keep that connection going on for yoga and stuff like that. Through yoga and the chats that happen before and after it. And Georgina is a really good person to talk with. People really gravitate towards her personality for just a nice person who's on your side and is curious about you and your life and where you're at. And wants to keep in touch. So, you know, if anybody wants to join those yoga classes, they are open, but you have to sort of get in touch with me to do that, so you can figure out how to do that. So there's a transition in my life to stable bases. This is one, but it's kind of been destabilized by the fact that I'm spending so much time in Asia, and destabilized by the fact that I spent half of my time in Europe this year focused on being a touring musician. But Copenhagen is definitely my base, where I want to be, where it never gets cold. It never, you know, like, is not a place I want to be unless there's something else going on. And it's warm in Europe. So this year the weather in April and May was catastrophic for me. And I really didn't enjoy being here for those months. And going back to Copenhagen, my base in Asia, in June was a welcome sort of way to realize that even though it was warm in Europe in June or whatever, I realized I really want to be on that island as my main base in the world. Then there's another thing, another elephant in the room when you talk about loneliness as a digital nomad, and it's the difficulty finding love. I haven't solved this problem, so I can't really advise, but you know, the whole everything, the whole fast friendships thing, the whole everyone's always leaving thing, the whole you have less in common with people than you would having grown up with them and stuff like that. It all kind of means that finding a partner, oh, and the more choices, more happy thing. Basically everything I talked on this video about is creating a situation where it's very hard to find love as a digital nomad. And I'll tell you in a moment what I'm doing to sort of combat this in my personal life and the lives of others. But I feel if I have any chance of finding love, I need to make as many meetups as possible. It's not just about finding love, but it's about finding my community and then finding a relationship, a romantic relationship that fits within that. My lifestyle of, yes, I want to travel the world. Yes, I want to see a bunch of places. Yes, there's so much possibility out there. Let's embrace it and all that sort of stuff. But we need to have more of an infrastructure for meetups and connections and stuff like that. Deeper connections than just the standard, where are you from, what do you do, where are you going sort of stuff. Yeah. And of course, people with dogs start yelling as well. I don't want to meet up with the people with dogs while I'm making a video. So yeah, more meetups and more ways to connect with people deeper. That's what I'm kind of working on. So we're opening up this venue on the island of Copenhagen, which will do lots of events that are going to invite people to socialize in a really interesting way that I think will address a lot of the problems that I'm talking about in this video. And it's going to be about music. Music is a connecting force. There's something about a musical show, a live band, or an awesome dance party that breaks down social inhibitions and alleviates loneliness. And that is the very nature of music. Like, if you're feeling lonely, you listen to a melancholy song that touches that part of you, that desire and stuff like that, you feel less lonely. If you go to a dance party and you dance with a bunch of strangers, and there's that feeling of energy in the room, energy between people, this is the moment, this is where it's at, you feel less lonely. So music is a connecting force. And finally, I'm gonna just, I guess for the first time, announce on this channel that we are working on a partnership with Nomad Soulmates, which is a Facebook group and app right now that basically allows digital nomads to introduce themselves to each other and make connections. And they've got lots of people who have found love as a digital nomad, success stories through their group. And we're working on a more interactive way to do that online, in person. We're gonna have retreats in the future. We're gonna have a group that you can join, which is for the people who want to put the most energy into finding better relationships as a digital nomad. People who are really willing to put the time into working on themselves, to become the best version of themselves, to be in the type of community, contribute to the relationships, a romantic relationship, and whatever it is, to understand themselves and what might have made them not have that, what might have made them want to leave their home country and become a digital nomad in the first place. Lots of us are lone wolves, and there's part of us deep inside that craves that connection. So we're working on this new community with Aline and Nomad Soulmates, a partnership with Rising Nomad, me and Georgina and others that I work with, and we're going to do some interesting stuff there and get a lot of conversations going. Conversations like this stuff that I've talked about today. Conversations about attachment styles, about sacrificing for a partner and understanding other people and compromise and, building an ideal lifestyle. Conversations about having children as a digital nomad, and conversations about basically finding happiness. So stay tuned for more about that. And just creating this content about loneliness makes me feel a lot less lonely. Like I described with music, this YouTube is largely a therapy for me, and largely a way that I'm reaching out to the world to connect. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel if you like it, if you want to have more conversations like this. And tell me, what does loneliness as a digital nomad mean to you? If you want to leave a comment, what does it mean to you, and what's your greatest challenge there? Thanks a lot. I'm about to get on a plane to go back to my happy place, the island of Copenhagen, so I'm super excited. And I'll see you from over there. Bye, guys.